acceptera det. Vi kommer inte låta det hända.
This is Greta Thunberg, a 16-year-old Swedish schoolgirl who sparked the global climate movement. Student marches all over Europe made climate change one of the hottest issues in the European parliamentary election. Protesters have made it into the European Parliament too, and European politicians are taking notice.
This is a social revolution that started now everywhere. And dear colleagues, we, the politicians, we, the parliamentarians, we have to be part of that.
Before, the other parties were saying, nowadays we don't have to do anything, no one wants to care about the climate, it's only the Greens. But now we see that no, people really care about it, especially young people.
The European Union wants to be climate neutral by 2050, but not all governments want to sign to this time-specific commitment. Poland is one of them, and the reason is this. Around 80% of Poland's electricity is provided by its coal-fired power plants. This one in Bełchatów tops the list of CO2 gas emitters in the EU. Scientists say that becoming climate neutral by 2050 is needed to make sure the global temperatures don't rise by more than 1.5 degrees this century. Greenpeace activist Marek Józefiak took the bold step of climbing one of the plant's towers in a stunt that ended in detention.
We wanted the scope of the public opinion to be on the climate killers, and that's coal.
His aim was to kickstart the conversation about coal's impact on climate change in Poland.
Right now, Poland is the only country which is using coal big time in the EU, which not only doesn't have a phase-out plan, but doesn't even have a discussion around that.
Coal mining is a way of life in the region of Silesia. Most of Poland's coal mines are located here. Wojciech Wojtas works in one of them. Hardly anyone who works in a mine likes their work. It's hard. Heat, dust, hazards. Everyone chooses this job because of its stability. Coal is still seen as a national treasure here and is credited with Poland's energy independence. Miners in Poland are as respected as university professors. Around 100,000 of jobs depend on it too. At this protest held by Poland's legendary Solidarity trade union, its local leader calls for mining jobs to stay and a renegotiation of climate commitments. And despite all the hardship, Wojtas wouldn't want to see the coal phase out either. I'm definitely against closing mines as a miner and as a patriot. Our region enabled Poland to rebuild after the war thanks to coal, and now to stop using it. I can't imagine this. But using coal for power plants is not the only problem. Like Wojtas, 19 million Poles heat their homes with coal too. As a result, Poland has some of the most polluted air in all of the European Union, and 33 of its 50 dirtiest cities.
She is suffering from heart disease, and when it's a very high polluted day or night, she feels very badly and doesn't breathe normally.
Some 48,000 Poles are estimated to die annually from illnesses related to poor air quality.
I can see people suffering from more arrhythmias, from more blood pressure problems. I can see people coming to me with acute coronary syndromes. So in my practice, I can see that air pollution directly affects my patients.
But things are starting to slowly shift.
What we need to do, we need to go over there.
Adam Hamerla and his team of scientists are policing household emissions with a sniffer drone. Their aim is to shame the worst polluters, motivate households to shift to cleaner coal, and to stop burning waste. The EU is helping too.
Podłóż do pieca.
This campaign aims to educate Poles about the health impact of smog. The project also gives them subsidies to replace old furnaces and to insulate their homes. Training eco-councillors working for the local government, the town of Krakow aims to ban coal burning in homes later this year. But over in Rybnik, a town among Europe's 5 most polluted, coal mining's future is being celebrated. Six best mining students from all over Poland are here, competing for the top prize and a jump start in their mining career. The biggest Polish mining groups are among the sponsors, and the knowledge of traditional miners' caps will come in handy. David Belunda, a 17-year-old from Rybnik, is the winner, and mining is his dream career. I am not worried about us closing down the mines, and when it happens, I'll be retired already. Patrick Bialas is a climate campaigner, recently turned local politician. He says the European Union should be putting more pressure on Poland's government.
European Union for Poland is about money. When you have money, you have power, and the message should be very direct to Poland. If you want a European budget, you need to implement our European, quite ambitious climate policy.
But the new European election in May could have a big impact on the EU's climate ambition if it brings in a new wave of climate-sceptic parliamentarians from populist parties. Germany's AfD is one of them. Party's program calls CO2 an indispensable component of all life. And its leading candidate, Jörg Meuthen, refutes the 2050 commitments outright.
Net zero emissions in 2050, that's an idiotic demand that's not even needed. I want a strict science basis in climate policy, and what we have is an ideological climate policy.
As school protests around Europe continue, their young leaders are hoping the European election will lead to more climate action.
Wir sagen heute laut und deutlich, Europa, wir kommen. We're saying, Europe, we're coming. We're going to make the European elections about the climate. We're not letting borders separate us, and we're not letting them steal our future.
Whether these slogans on homemade posters will translate into votes remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. This election will have a big impact on the European Union's climate future.